Alright, this is Jamila. So this is before we made any changes to your stroke. Pretty good extension. Getting a pretty decent pull underwater as well. Turning to breathe comfortably. And your body position is good, so your hips and legs are not too low in the water or anything. Your head is a little high, so when your head is a little high like that, your lower body will be a little bit lower than it needs to be. So what that does is affects your streamline. And I know we worked on that as we went through. So you want basically the water to be hitting sort of the top of your head. And one way you can work on that is, rather than looking forward, you can look down a little bit. You don't have to look straight down, but looking at like a 30 or 40 degree angle will help with that. Looks like a pretty good kick. And the points that you're extending to are good. So it looks to me, from this angle anyway, that you're doing a good job of reaching forward and staying, like your left arm stays on the left side, right arm stays on the right side. Sometimes when people reach forward, they cross over a bit, and when you cross over, that creates a lot of extra motion in the body as well. So the main two things here would be getting the head a little lower, and then when you're reaching forward, just about everybody I ever work with has room for improvement on the extension, or extension and rotation. So what you would do there is you try to do a better job of, when you finish the arm, you kind of rotate to your side so that that finishing shoulder is pretty good out of the water, or well out of the water. Meanwhile, the arm and shoulder that's in the water is reaching forward sort of directly under your body. So you're doing a bit of a side-to-side rotation. So you're getting a pretty good rotation here when you breathe right there. But notice how your left arm is really low as you're bringing it around. So you want that left arm to be, the left shoulder to be a little higher through the water. And the way you do that is, you can work on all of that by thinking about the reach forward, by trying to brush your shoulder against your ear as you're reaching forward. That right arm, you generally don't want the right hand to be going higher than the elbow. So see how your hand is sort of coming over higher than the elbow, like right there. But yeah, doing a really good job of where you're reaching to. So you're reaching directly in front of your shoulder, which is where you want to reach to. So underwater, at the end of the tape here, I've got some still frames of your stroke underwater, so you can get a sort of slow motion look at what's going on. But the pull motion with your left, that's what I would call a straight arm pull. So that means you're pulling essentially with no different angle in your forearm versus your upper arm. So it's a kind of straight pull back. And the right arm, you're getting a little bit of a catch, and then the elbow leads the stroke back. I'll give you a little more in depth when we get to that freeze frame. But what happens with the straight arm pull is that the first third of the stroke, really, with this right arm, the first third of the stroke is mostly just pushing water down. So it's not doing a whole bunch to pull your body forward. And the other arm, the catch arm, the right arm that you're catching a little more with, what's happening there is you're initially getting an angle on the water, or getting leverage on the water, and then the elbow sort of breaks and leads back, which means that your hand and your forearm are not vertical compared to the bottom of the pool, or not perpendicular. So you lose leverage. Now here you can see the lines that you're pulling back, those are both good. You're just essentially reaching forward and then pulling directly back. That's the way you want to pull. Now we just need to work on the actual sort of angle of your hand and forearm. So here, had you bring your head down, you can see that that's a good bit lower. And if you go back to the beginning of the tape, you can see that your hips and legs are a little higher here. So that'll make you faster purely just by being a little more streamlined. So this looks a lot better. I recall we talked about the actual sort of tempo or the rate of your stroke. So when you're bringing your arm around, you can do it a little quicker. So on one arm drill, that's a separate thing. But when you're bringing your arm back to the front, you want to do that as quickly as possible without forcing it. So work on getting that sort of timing down. That'll make you a little faster just by the tempo. Now, one arm drill, this is great for working on the high elbow catch. Also for just strengthening the stroke. So you can see what you'd want to see here underwater is that hand and forearm basically going vertical relative to the bottom of the pool as quickly as possible or as early as possible in the stroke. So looking at your right arm, good reach forward, pretty good extension. So that's actually good body position there. And then you see the hands start to go, and then you see a little bit of a different angle with the hand and the forearm compared to the upper arm. So this is the beginning of a good catch. And then notice how the elbow is still leading the stroke back, and your hand and forearm have not gone totally vertical. So that's what you would want to work on. All right, so at this point you would want that hand and forearm completely vertical and then pushing through the stroke. So you're giving up just a little bit of leverage there. So that's what you want to think about, getting the hand and forearm vertical, keeping it vertical through the stroke. So left arm, again, this is a pretty good extension and rotation here. So earlier I was saying maybe you could work on extension. Maybe sometimes you can, but this is pretty good. And then look at the angle of the forearm and upper arm. They just stay in one line as you're pulling through the stroke. Now maybe a little bit of an elbow leading the stroke back there. So hand and forearm have not really gone vertical relative to the bottom of the pool, which is where you get your real leverage with swimming, your real strength and power with swimming. So that's the main thing you want to work on. The timing will help, and then just continue swimming, doing lots of drills. Everything will help there. So I hope this was good, and thanks.